And then I realized actually high school just sucks. So I graduated early and it was really hard, especially as a woman who looks very young. And at the time I didn't appreciate that, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'll be very honest with you. You don't have to share it. I don't even know what to do with it.
That's how I started making bread.
Really?
Yeah.
You're like,
nobody
there's
makes
nowhere
bread.
to go. Cool drinks, and he's like, what if you just did matcha? And I was like, duh. It's got so much potential,
Yeah.
for sure.
Prior to you being in there, it was like a lot of just like behind the scenes industrial type businesses.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that someone had posted a TikTok video.
It exploded, and it was like from people not on the North Shore. It was just like people were coming from everywhere.
And then it was just like a domino effect. People want to see it because then they're part of it, you know?
Amazing. Yeah, if you want to just start off with introducing like what is your name, what is the business, where are you located, how long have you been in business, what do you guys do, that would be a great place to start.
I own Mele Mele Bakery. We're located in the old Waialua Sugar Mill. It's a bakery, coffee shop, matcha cafe, breakfast spot, lunch spot. You have it, you name it. I have about 15 to 20 employees at any given time. They're all awesome and super fun. We've been open for almost 4 years now.
So maybe we could just start off, kind of go back in time. I'm just curious, like, where did you grow up? When did you start getting into baking or food? Yeah, curious where it started.
So I actually grew up in Alaska.
Wow.
Born and raised. My dad is from Norway, was an au pair, and my mom is an immigrant from Thailand. So first generation, grew up in Fairbanks, super small town. Like the nearest biggest town was Anchorage, which is an 8-hour drive.
Wow.
So a little bit isolated.
Yeah.
I would never go back, but really cool place to grow up. But I feel like since then, like I guess to tie that into like what I'm doing now is I have a lot of that Norwegian Scandinavian influence. So I grew up with a dad who loved to bake and did it from when I was really little. And we make everything from scratch. If we made gingerbread houses, it was completely from scratch.
Amazing.
Which is really cool. And my mom is an excellent cook, and that comes from like the Asian Thai side. So like with her and my grandma around, that's where that influence comes in from. So I had like the cooking side and then the baking side, and was really spoiled as a kid with amazing food all the time. I actually went to high school here for a year. So I think that's kind of how I got my like roots in Hawaii. And one of my aunties has always been, she's military, so she's been here in and out all the time. But now she lives here permanently. So
how did you end up going to high school here?
Was an athlete, so, and I also had an Asian mom. So she was very hard on me academically, wanted me to just be at like a better school and like higher level athletics, because as you can imagine, Alaska doesn't have, unless you play hockey,
Right.
the sports scene is not great. So I went to mid-pack. It was really hard coming in here as an outsider in Hawaii, and people were not super welcoming, so I struggled a lot. So I ended up going back to Alaska, and then I realized actually high school just sucks. So I graduated early. We actually moved to Norway because I would go there every other year as a kid anyway. So we went there. After that, I kind of bounced around everywhere. I went to play soccer at UMass Boston for a short stint, left, had a really hard time where I was actually homeless for a little bit, and then lived in Seattle, and I went to UC Irvine for a year, and then I actually went to drama school in London for 3 years.
Wow.
So I lived between London and Norway that whole time.
So you were playing soccer at UC Irvine, and then did you switch to drama?
I did drama at UC Irvine.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is also a total plot twist, because all before this, I was going to go to school for engineering because I was really good at math. And when you're growing up and your teachers are like, this is what you should do, or my mom telling me this is what's going to make money.
Yeah. Yeah, I was pre-med and I ended up in real estate. So I get it.
Yeah. And then you realize that you've never actually like really lived in the real world, and you're like,
Right.
actually, that's not what I want to do. That's just what people tell you to do.
Yeah.
So I took a gap year, actually. I went to school in Boston, left because I was going through really, like, my parents divorced. My mom was bankrupt. It was like a whole situation. Took a year off, which felt like the end of the world. But during that time, I discovered books. So I actually write books, is what I've always wanted to do.
Cool.
And that led me into like really wanting to do film. So I wanted to pursue film. When I got into UC Irvine, that's what I was doing. I was studying like theater and film and stuff like that. Realized I didn't like Irvine very much.
Yeah. It's kind of a boring place.
Yeah, there's not much going on. It wasn't for me. And so I was just exploring. I always wanted to live in the UK. I thought it was super cool. So on a whim, applied to that school in London. It was like a conservatoire training for actors and directors. So I actually went to Norway that summer to see my dad. While I was there, I got an audition, went to London, got in, and just never came back.
Wow.
Which is really cool. So then that like took me on another like.
So you were pursuing acting like with just out of interest, or were you like the intention to potentially work as a actress?
Mostly as like a screenwriter, director, kind of like behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But at this school, you had to do everything. So it was a lot of that. It was like ballet, acting, voice work, what have you, like 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. It was crazy. And then you realize no wonder all the British actors are so good. But yeah, so I did that with the intention to like get into film. And then after that, my mom was in New York at the time. So when I left school, I went to New York and tried the like whole film thing of doing a bunch of PA jobs in the city and stuff like that. And it was really hard, especially as a woman who looks very young in the film industry. And at the same time, I was still pursuing getting published. I write fantasy books.
Okay, I was going to ask.
Yeah, so I was doing those both at the same time, and I was kind of biting off more than I could chew because I was only kind of half-asking either of them. While I was doing this is actually when I worked at a coffee shop, which kind of influences everything I do now.
In New York City?
Outside of New York City. So it was actually in Stamford, Connecticut, which is like a suburb. So I would take this train into the city every single day. And I would read and write on the train. And then I decided I'm going to take 6 months, try to get a literary agent, and I'll just write. And I did that, and I signed with an agent, and then decided actually I could do this anywhere. This is what I want to do. And if that leads me back into the film industry, that would be really awesome. But let's try that. And then COVID happened. So
did you publish a few books at that point, or?
None of them have been published. So I signed with my agent. I signed with my dream agent in like 2021, I think. Maybe it was the end of 2020. I can't remember. We have since submitted 2 books, and neither of them have sold. So working on the 3rd one, and very regular because the literary world is very subjective. So
I'm sure, especially that space.
Yeah, totally. But
so if anyone wanted to go check out one of your books, do they exist on the
no
anywhere in the ether?
No. Unfortunately not yet.
Very interesting.
But yeah, so someday we'll see. But yeah, so while I was doing that, I worked at this coffee shop, actually where I also met my boyfriend. And it was where I learned all my training, and it was very high end. We roasted our own coffee, and got into all the nitty gritties of it. And I really grew a passion for it, and got into that world unexpectedly a little bit. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of because
you were just doing this basically like on the side for fun while you pursued your
and then
creative endeavors.
I don't know exactly how this happened. It was all very organic, but I started there, learned everything there is to know about it, and it was kind of early on in the life of that business. So I ended up running it and being the manager there, and ended up training people and hiring and getting behind the scenes a little more of like inventory, creating menus, all that kind of stuff. At the time, I think I was too young to appreciate it, and also didn't really want that for myself. But now I can see. So my boss at the time, who's also young, he was like, I'm going to give you all these tools, so one day if you open your own business, you will have it.
Wow.
And at the time, I didn't appreciate that, obviously, and sorry. But now eternally grateful, because I wouldn't be able to do any of this without that.
Right.
And then I went through that business during COVID, and it was really difficult to adjust to all the things, but kind of got to grow with it a little bit and put my own personality into it, which was really cool.
So at any point in time while you're there, were you thinking maybe you would potentially start your own business, or
No.
you were still just like in the thick of it and like liked doing the job, and that was kind of the extent of it?
Yeah, kind of. I think this was the first place that I like kind of managed. I think from my perspective, most of the bosses I've had in these small businesses were always looked exhausted and just had no free time and were just kind of chugging along. And I was like, I don't want to live like that.
Right.
I'm like, this seems really stressful. It never turns off. And so I think that was a big turn off for me, and something that was like, I don't think this is something I want to do. But that was also years ago. So, yeah.
So even at that coffee shop, you thought that about the owner?
Yeah, totally.
Right.
He was doing a great
despite
job.
Despite
Also,
outsourcing a lot of work to you.
I mean, he also had 2 small kids, but
yeah.
also would come in, roast coffee at like 4 a.m.
Right.
and would be exhausted, be there all day, in and out, dealing with all the things. Would just kind of, I also like saw him have to give up a lot of the passions and things that he had before. And that was really discouraging to me in my young 20s, as being like, well, I'm not ready to give up on all these dreams yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't really on my radar as something that I would want for myself. At that point, I still thought I'm gonna like move to LA and then do the film thing there and that kind of stuff, which never happened. But
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's normally a good litmus test when you're working somewhere. Like, do I even want to be like my boss or the owner in 10 years? And if the answer is no, then it's usually a sign. But it sounds like that didn't completely turn you off.
Yeah, we went a really bumpy road to that. But so after that, I ended up leaving that place during COVID. It was really hard. And I think there was just like, I think I was maybe just ready to move on, plus stacked on top of that, everything else was going on in the world. We were kind of waiting, like moved to New Haven during COVID because of so many circumstances. New York was not a great place to be.
Yeah.
And I also didn't really love the East Coast, but my boyfriend is from Westchester, New York. So his whole family, like his life is there.
That's where my mom's from.
Really?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
I grew up in LA, but my family's from White Plains, which is in Westchester.
Yeah, he's from like Larmont. What is it?
I know the name.
Like, yeah. Anyways, something like that, around that area. His sister lives in Merrimack. They're still like over there.
Yeah.
But it was really hard for me because I had like no roots there, no family, no friends.
Yeah, and you're in your 20s and you're like in the suburbs.
Yeah, I was like, not it. And I would come back here actually quite often. And at some point, I was just ready to leave. And he wanted to stay at this job for a while. 2 years into COVID, where I was like, I can't stay here anymore. It was just also a different world where it was really hard to go outside there.
Yeah.
There's so many restrictions. It wasn't as freeing as like, say, being here. And at some point we took a trip to Bermuda, and then we came back to New York, and then I remember landing in JFK, and we're in the car and we're like, we gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot stay anymore. And I had been pushing to move here for a while, and he applied to schools and got into this acupuncture school here. We ended up leaving within a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you want to come back here just because of your high school experience?
No. No, absolutely not. I would come here a lot. Like, so in between all of that, I came here often, and I would like help my aunt with her kids like during the summer or something. And then during COVID, I actually spent 2 months out here, and just I think that's when I really fell in love with the North Shore. Obviously, that time was nice too because there's nobody out anywhere. Like everything was empty. And I was like, this is just it makes me happy. Like, I need sunshine. This feels like a much better fit. And I didn't know where else we would move to. I was like, I don't want to be landlocked. I don't want to be on the East Coast. I was like, we should just try it out and do it. I think anyone can relate to this, but it's really hard to move here. It's not an easy place to move to. I have family, so which is super helpful. They live in Mele, so that was like our starting point.
Right.
But like finding a place, finding a job, we moved here. He was going to school full time. I worked at Mele Joe's and Coffee Gallery at the same time.
Mele Joe's actually kind of a hard job to get, I would imagine.
Well, they also make you start from the beginning.
Yeah.
So no matter your experience, you start as a hostess.
Right.
Which is really hard, getting paid $10 an hour, not making tips.
Especially when you're already managing like a...
Yeah, so I would work at Coffee Gallery from like 6 to 1, go home, take a nap, and then work from 4:30 to 11 at Mele Joe's and then do it all over again.
Wow.
And making minimum wage, which was really hard. And I was like, at that point, I was like, I don't know how people live here. This is crazy. And also struggling because my boyfriend could only work part-time because he was going to school full-time. And it was a very rough transition. Now that I think about it, I don't even know how I got there. That's crazy.
Yeah, how long do you think it took before you felt like you were like settled here?
Probably not until I honestly think it took like 3 years.
Wow.
Maybe 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah. It's a long time to endure.
Yeah. I mean, we moved around a lot. I actually worked at Mana and Pua. Do you remember it?
Yes.
It's where High Pie is now.
Yes.
Yeah. So I like found that place, started going there as a customer, and I was like, this seems like a really cool place. Talked to the owner, and then one day she called me and she was like, you ready? And I was like, okay. Started working there part-time, and then I think I quit one of my jobs. I think I left Coffee Gallery, which is also a really hard place to work, especially someone coming from like a higher end coffee place and coming in. I think she called me because she had this idea to do like a cupcakery business as part of the business. So she called me asking if I wanted to run this bakery aspect of it, because I would go in and I would just start. She kind of gave me the freedom to make things. So I just started baking whatever. Like, people would bring in like a bunch of liquid from their house, and I'd be like, okay, and then I'd make something with it. So she called me, asked me if I wanted to run it, and I was like, okay, quit all my other jobs. And then that's kind of how I started. It started with cupcakes, and then so it was a wine business, so she had her own wine label.
It was like local wine, right? Some of it?
No, but it had like a very local like label to it, but it was all from California.
Oh, interesting.
I have mixed feelings about it now, but yeah. So I'll be very honest with you. You don't have to share it, but yeah. So I was running that, and everything was going really well at the time. So I had one job. I was getting paid much more to kind of like half manage it with somebody else. So it started with cupcakes. We also did like breakfast and coffee and wine tastings and all of it, but you would do everything there. So everybody did everything. And it started to get really busy, and then I started kind of putting more stuff out. So we'd do more, like honestly, whatever I wanted to bake. She was like, okay. then I started doing custom cupcake orders, custom cake orders, and it was kind of like people asking for things and being like, could you do this? And I'd be like, okay. That was really cool. Like for me, that was exciting. I had a lot of like creative freedom to come up with ideas, and I'm like, what if we do this? And just kind of from my experience from before, but also just like mostly self-taught. I didn't go to pastry school. I didn't go to culinary school. It was just all that comes from, I think, my dad's side of the family.
Right.
And growing up and everything, I was very much a hobby baker. Like I would find stuff and just try it.
Right.
So that was really cool. And I got to just experiment and try things. And it was a very safe space to like get feedback from people and very inconsequential at the end of the day. Partway through that job, I don't know exactly how it started, but that place, when she first moved in, got hit by a flood. And she got hit with a bill from that flood like a year later. And I think this is that when she financially went downhill. And I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I'm not here to like share bad news about people, but also it was a really bad situation where a lot of people ended up leaving. I actually met a lot of my friends at this place too, and people I'm still friends with now, who've shared the same experience, but almost everybody left, and it was mostly because she started being really late on paying people, and she kind of, at the time though, she was kind of like my Hanai mom. Like she took care of me, like she would invite me to her house, we'd have dinner, like we'd do all these things together. I think that's when I started to like feel more settled. I started to get to know the community a lot more, like because people come in all the time, I would see them every day. And,
right.
I feel like that's part of the beauty of the North Shore, is like getting to just know people, and you see them over and over again, and that's how you make friends. She sat down with me and was like, Song, don't leave yet, like don't jump ship. Like, we're gonna figure this out. Like, I'm gonna take care of you, all these things. Went downhill quite quickly. And I think it was almost a year later where we had basically the same conversation, and she ended up getting kicked out of this spot because they went to court and all these things. And I know that a lot of the people in that same building have gone through a very similar thing. However, I also ended up leaving that place with 3 months without getting paid.
Oh, wow. So
she got offered the place next to Smoking Boar and the Coconut, which used to be High Pie. And she was going to create it as like a smaller version after we knew we were leaving that location, because I was like, what am I going to do? Like, this is like everything I have right now. And she said, like, Song, you will run this place, you can bake out of it, you'll do like all like coffee, breakfast, whatever, without the wine aspect of it. And painted it, moved everything in, put stickers on the windows, everything. I was still waiting to get paid. And she's like, I'm just waiting for this check to come in from the winery. And she's like, it's gonna come in July. July passes. The shop doesn't open. I'm without a job for a month, without pay for like 4 months.
Wow.
And I'm like, without tips for 4 months. And I was like, look, and I have all the numbers, because I managed that place, I ran it. I was like, I have all the numbers, like, this is how much money that you owe me minimum. And don't hear from her. And then she's like, actually, I don't want that spot. You can have it. And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't want it. Like, I just want to get paid. Like, I don't have money. I'm like really struggling. Kind of just doing like little jobs for other people, like cooking for them and catering wherever I can on like my own kind of dime. And then she's like, look, I'll like loan you equipment so you can start, and then you can slowly like replace it with your own. I was like, but I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. Like, I just need to get paid. I can't even start anything without money. I had this conversation with my friends, with my mom, my family, and my mom was like, well, how much is the rent there? Like, what do you need to start, hypothetically? And somehow got talked into it. But they're like, it's super low risk. If it tanks, like, who knows?
Right.
And just like you could just bake whatever you want. You could do, I don't know. And at that spot, I was not allowed to do coffee. And that's kind of where the idea of matcha bloomed, because no one had a matcha bar anyway. And so I started to like kind of create this idea with the help of like friends and family, being like, okay, this is what it could look like. But I was still broke and still waiting. And then I was like, okay, this could work. But then she texts me again and says, actually don't want to let you use my equipment. It's too much of a risk. Actually, here's a non-compete, sign this. And I was like, I don't work for you anymore. And it said like within 10 miles of Haleiwa for like 5 years. And I was like, you don't have a business here either. She was hoping to open up in town or Kailua or somewhere else. She was like, started painting the shop. I started like building it out, doing all the things and cleaning it up. And her equipment was still in there, and she came in one day, took it all back. And I was like, okay, I'll be at the, she said she had money for me. So I was like, okay, I'll be at the shop. Just stop by. And she drove right past me, left the check with our mutual friend who's a hairdresser, made me go pick it up. And it was for like less than half of what she owed me. And I was like, I don't even know what to do with it. And long story short, I never got it. The only reason that place got up and running in the first place is because I had lots of friends and family who loaned me money and made it work.
So I assume you ended up splitting off from her and just
I did.
signing the lease without her.
I did. So I ended up talking
I hope so. At least I hope that's where it's going.
No, yeah. So I ended up, not even, she was like, this will be yours, do what you will with it. And
Right.
like I said at the time, I was like, I didn't want to start a business. I was like, that was not my goal. I think I still had this idea in my head. I was like, I'm just going to do all the things I want to do while I write this book, and hopefully one day that'll take off, which is still not a dead dream. But like I said, then I had a lot of friends who were like, you've run all these other people's businesses for them. You could do it for yourself, but now it's for you, not for somebody else. And I'm not going to be taken advantage of. I'm not going to, I get my full creativity, get to do whatever I want, and learned a lot of what to do and a lot of what not to do. So my mom, who's very business savvy, helped me set up all that stuff that I had no idea to do. And all her and my auntie and some friends loaned me money, and they're like, what do you need to start? And just started with the bare minimum. I got an oven from Reuse Hawaii for like $400, and it was like a home oven that goes like in the wall. So we built a box around it. Got like one of the cheapest fridges you could find on Facebook Marketplace, built out the bar, got like secondhand everything, redid it, repainted it, reupholstered things by myself. Had to be so crafty.
Yeah. And for people who didn't go to the last spot, it was like a tiny little spot that on not a main road. So it was, like you said, it was probably low risk from like a lease perspective.
Yeah. Did
you have to sign a long-term lease, or? I
signed a 6-month lease with a month-to-month after that.
Okay.
And she did, to her credit, I subleased it from Smoking Boar. She did give me a very cheap lease for like the first 2 months to like help me start. Yeah, so it was just kind of doing with what I had.
Yeah.
And starting very, very, very small.
And was the concept matcha and baked goods?
It was. So one of the things I really wanted to bring to the table, which I think at the root of it, I always wanted to make my own bread because no one makes bread up here.
Yeah. That's how I started making bread.
Really?
Yeah.
You're like,
nobody makes bread.
To go.
Yeah.
And you're like, if you go to the store, like from all my past jobs too, you'd be like, go to the store to buy bread, or you'd order bread, and it was so expensive. And it had like a million ingredients in it, and you're like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I was like, just have a super simple menu and make it on all our own bread, and it'll be amazing. So that was kind of where it started. And I was like, and I'll do all the things that I really want to do. Like, I kind of went with the concept of I'm going to create what I would want from a place. Like, I am more of just like a coffee shop connoisseur anyways. It's just like, I love, one of my like side quests, hobbies is finding places to go write or read, and I could sit down for hours. So I was like, I want to make a space for that. Like, what would I want there? Like, from my Scandinavian side, that's how the Norwegian cinnamon buns and cardamom buns came to life. Because I was like, I've always wanted to do that. This is my opportunity to do that every day, because there's nowhere to find it on island, at least at the time. And there were no other bakeries around. So I'm like, what else could I do? And then I created a whole cake menu, because the benefit of coming from my previous job was I did carry over my own clientele who did order all cakes from me and cupcakes and special orders. And it was me who made all of it. So, which is really cool, because then they were like, you made my daughter's birthday cake last year, could you make it this year? And so I got to be more creative with my menu and building the website and that kind of stuff, which helped me a lot get off the ground, because people still don't know where we were. And like I said, the matcha started from not being able to do coffee, which is one of my biggest passions. However, wasn't able to do that. And it was actually my boyfriend's idea. He was like, what if you just did, because I was like, we could do like teas and cool drinks, and he was like, what if you just did matcha? And I was like, duh. And bringing all of those ideas from my previous job, like, or jobs in the past, I'm like, we'll make all of our own syrups, which we still do, and got to be creative with our drink menu. And I kind of just brought inspiration from all my favorite cafes from all over the world that I've been to. Like, the way that the pastries are displayed was from one of my favorite sourdough bakeries in Connecticut, actually. And they had like basically the same layout, along with a few other like Scandinavian bakeries I've been to. Drink menus are kind of inspired by some of my favorite coffee shops that I've been to, like in New York. And they have like more of like an Asian influence in the flavors. And I just kind of wanted to do something a little bit off-center. Yeah. That I find interesting, or that I would want to try, and people are like, oh, what is that? And then they try it, and then they discover something new, and I think that's super exciting. So yeah, and then it kind of grew into being like people coming in and asking about certain things, or I'd try something and they'd be like, oh, that's actually one of my favorite things, because I didn't used to make muffins every day. And then people were like, oh, that's actually really good, because I would kind of just test out recipes, see what worked, and whatever people liked, I'd make more of, and kind of narrowed it down a little bit. So yeah, we started with one fridge, a tiny oven, and like a little electric griddle, and that was it. Yeah. Slowly, organically grew from there. And I've also met a lot of friends coming in that way. So that's kind of the start of it.
So that was in 2021 or 2022?
No, that was in 2023.
Oh, okay. So I must have been going there since right when it opened. So I guess how long were you in that spot, and I guess how was that going? And then I guess how did that lead to the next location?
So we were open there for a year. It did better than I thought it would.
It was a tough location.
It was really tough. The parking sucked. There wasn't much. So I know a lot of people would like drive by because there was nowhere to park. Right. It was not easy to be there for sure. And the windows were really dark, so you never knew if it was open or not. And there's not much I could do about it. Just to be completely honest, I had a really hard time with the people I was leasing from, who then started to, I wasn't allowed to do coffee, but then we had all these agreements. She was like, I won't do matcha then, I won't outsource pastries then. And then she started buying pastries from other people and selling them next door. And
At the smoking board?
yeah, and selling matcha. And then
Oh, so the person who owned that building owned that business?
no, they didn't own it. The building. They're actually not there anymore.
Oh.
But I subleased from them.
Oh, you're
either way,
subleasing.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So it was really hard. And then Kava Queen was actually back in
I remember
our
that.
backyard.
Yeah.
And then after that, Smoking Board also started selling kava, and we're like, this is really weird. So it was just a really tough business situation. But at the time, I was like, we're just going to get through it. It's going to be fine. And we were getting busier. So like our clientele was growing a little bit. It was just a really small kitchen in a small space, and there wasn't much I could do with it.
Yeah, I feel like that whole location has like the potential of someone doing
For
something
sure.
really cool, but it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. It's got cool bones.
They would need to
it.
like build out the entire thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like those garage doors and doing something really cool inside would
Totally.
be, like in my mind, I'm envisioning like a brewery or something
Yeah.
like that would be sick, but I don't want to do
Business
it.
opportunity for anyone listening.
Go turn it into a brewery.
Turn into something cool.
Yeah. It's got so much potential.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's like actually quite trafficked. Like a lot of people drive
people drive
by.
by there all the time.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part is that it's just very residential.
Yeah.
So I guess it depends on what you put there. But I feel like, I mean, it's the same as like Bird's Nest. It's got like the cool like gas station look to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if you like leaned into that, it would be really cool.
Agree. So you're there for a year, and then while you were there, were you on the hunt for your next thing, or
No, I
was it
wasn't.
more serendipitous?
Also very serendipitous. So that was going okay. Granted, I wasn't making any money.
Were you like making enough to live?
Making enough to live,
Yeah.
but like just scraping by.
Right. Okay.
It was definitely difficult. It was more, I was like, had to really, really budget everything and start small. Like my first matcha order was like 2 kilos of matcha, which now would be gone in a week,
Right.
which is crazy. So I was friends with, I used to get my nails done with Nicole, who was in the silos next to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd go see her. At the time, there was nothing there. It was kind of a junkyard. It was like, there was just stuff everywhere. It was like dirt. I've got some crazy old pictures from the first time I went back there. And I met Drew, who leases all the silos.
Yeah, I think the first couple people there was Drew, and then
Yeah, so Drew's like the main guy, and then Nicole was in that small one. And I remember at some point we were talking about how he wanted to like bring in more people, or he had like ideas for it. Like I didn't know him very well at the time. I don't know how the first conversation started exactly, but I remember that our silo that we're in now was gonna turn into something, and at this point Caleb from Bird's Nest still had his van. And I remember texting him and being like, you should come look at this space. I feel like it would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they were looking for a brick and mortar. I remember asking Drew, and I was like, did he end up taking it? And he was like, no, he ended up finding a different place, which is actually where they're at now.
yeah.
And when I talked to Caleb, he was like, it's going to be a lot of work, which granted it was.
Yeah.
But I went home one day and I think I was like really frustrated with our current situation. And I was just talking to my partner, and he was like, Song, what if you took it? And I was like, but does that seem crazy? Like, I've only been open in this spot for like not even a year at that point. I think this was like maybe in April, and we opened in October. So it was really early on.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that seems crazy. But in the back of my mind, I was like, it could be so cool. So I got Drew's number, asked him, and I was like, I have this idea. What do you think? And he was like, I have to ask the property manager, because obviously the sugar mill's owned by like a corporation.
Yeah, and I guess it's zoned as industrial. So it's
Yeah.
like, prior to you being in there, it was like a lot of just like behind the scenes industrial type businesses.
Yeah.
So
In the
for-
silos, there was nothing.
Right.
Our current silo was his glassing room. So there's just like resin on the floor and everything. There was literally nothing in there. There's nothing outside. There was like a container just like outside that silo. There were no holes cut into it. It was a lot of us going back and forth and talking about what would need to be done and like how. I remember talking to the health inspector and I was like, okay, I have this spot. Is it doable? I had so many conversations about water and wastewater management.
Yeah.
And there are no blueprints of the sugar mill. It's crazy. Like everything's just disappeared.
Yeah. No, I heard the same thing from Nate, the distillery, about
Yeah.
wastewater.
I
That was a
know
huge
way
issue
more
there.
about
Yeah.
wastewater than I ever want to know it again. I'm like, this is crazy.
So this is their concern about like, where does all the wastewater go? I'm
Yeah.
assuming. Yeah. And how is it
well,
treated?
you have to
and
have.
we don't need to go too deep on it.
Yeah, but yeah, it has to go, like, it can't, because we were like, oh, and originally I was like, oh, we'll get like a tank and it'll be like kind of like how food trucks do it, and it'll just get pumped. Like, we'll install a huge tank in the ground somewhere. And she was like, but it's a brick and mortar, so you can't do that. And I was like, shit, what we're gonna do? And then I was like, it's not gonna happen. I remember having friends over for dinner, and we were like so excited. And at that point, I was like, it's impossible. And I told Drew, I was like, I don't know. Like, if we can't figure that out, I can't do it. And I think he was really reluctant to like do a lot of plumbing, because I think he really didn't want to bring attention to what he was doing over there.
Yeah.
But I was like, if you don't bring water over here, no one's gonna be able to move in.
Right.
And I'm like, if you do the water, you could charge more. I was like trying to like give him incentives to like doing it, because I was like, okay, there's a toilet next to Paizel, so there has to be wastewater somewhere. I'm like, it's going somewhere. And we found it. So there's a septic tank down. I was like, and we found all the records, and the health inspector, she was awesome, and she would like do research on her end for me, which is so kind. She was like, there's this record in 2010, they did this, they installed whatever, because installing a septic tank is crazy expensive.
Yeah.
So we were never going to do it. And so I kind of had to let Drew sit on it and be like, I was like, look, if you do this, then you can like offer this to all your new tenants who will move in eventually. And it took him some time to come around to. And eventually he told me he would do it, which I was like, okay, game changer. He's like, if you pay this much more a month, I was like, done. We can do that. I'm like, it'll pay for itself if you do it now. And I remember I upfronted some of the money just to get it done, because they had to like trench it, like put plumbing in just to connect it to the septic, which is all the glory of owning a business you would never know about. But
especially on the North Shore.
yeah, like,
I mean,
who
this
knows?
is not things people have to deal with in other places. You're like investigative.
Into like an old sugar mill
Yeah.
in a silo that used to be filled with molasses.
Totally.
Yeah, so then we were
Good
like,
for you for figuring it out.
it's crazy that I went through that actually. But yeah, so we like figured it out, and then it was how we're gonna build it out.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a month later, it was probably like May or June, that we were like, okay, we're gonna do it. And there was no one else there yet. I had the vision of like how I wanted the inside to be. We're like, okay, we'll put the bar here, the wall here, and like we'll have a door to the kitchen, but it'll be open. And then he had, the cool thing about the silo is that you just cut holes in it. So he cut out the back door, cut the window out.
You don't need to frame it.
Yeah,
You
it was
just
really
cut it.
cool. And he did all the drywall, and then he was like, okay, it's yours. And the floor in there was like metal, so you would like step on it and it would kind of like go like this everywhere. And I got really lucky. That summer, I did the Haleiwa Arts Festival. One of the guys, other vendors doing it, needed someone as a commercial kitchen to sign off for him. And he came in and we talked and I signed his paperwork for him, and he was so kind, but he also did construction. And much later he was like, if there's anything you need, I was like, I didn't even do anything for you, you're killing it. But he was just like, if there's anything you need ever. And he came in one day like a month later, and we were really racking our brains about this floor, because everyone who I asked, we're like, if we pour concrete, everyone quoted us $8,000. I was like, I do not have $8,000 to spend on a floor. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And we're like, do we like level it out with wood, or how expensive is that? Wood is also expensive. It was really frustrating. And randomly came in one day just to like stop by, say hi. And he's like, if there's anything you need. I was like, actually, what do you know about flooring?
Yeah.
I was like, I need advice. I don't know what to do. He's like, I'll come over and I'll look at it. And he did. He was so kind. Came over, looked at the place, and ultimately offered to help do the floors for us for just the material cost, and the guy to come buff it out.
Wow.
And so we did the floor for $3,000, and was just everyone we knew who came to help. And he came to help and ordered everything for me. I'm like super grateful forever.
I know you said you talked to the health inspector.
Yeah.
But like, did you do that before you signed the lease, or how did you
Yes.
even know that you'd be able to? Okay.
Yeah.
So you had a sense that you would be able to like operate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when Drew was like, he initially was like, I don't want to plumb into that
Right.
septic, because he would also, at that point, he would also have to talk to the property manager and talk to Paisel and all these people, and then they would bring more attention. They'd be
Yeah.
like, what are you doing over there? And I think he wanted to avoid that.
I'm curious, like,
Yeah.
what gave you the confidence to like move forward? Because when you opened, there was like nobody there, and I remember thinking
Yeah.
like, this place has potential, but it's like A, it's like rough, and
was
B,
rough.
like, there's no foot traffic here. I mean, you basically just had the farmers market on Saturday, and that was
Which
kind of
no one
it.
knew about,
And
though.
which basically no one went to anyway. I went there, but like, it was definitely a gamble.
It was a huge gamble, but I feel like you have to remember that we're in a place that didn't have a lot of traffic
Right.
and had a lot of problems. Like parking was a huge problem, which I knew going forward. I think that was a huge one for me. I was like, I had this vision of it just being like, I don't know, the space was really cool. And I'm like, we have all this outdoor space. And I'm like, we have unlimited parking. Like, it's never going to be an issue. And I think talking to Drew, despite him being reluctant in certain things at the time, I was like, this feels like a very good situation. Like, it just felt really good.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, no one's going to know where this is. I think in May of that year as well, I was like, my mom came to visit, and I was like, okay, there's this new place. I'm going to move here. And I brought her over there, and this was before anything was done.
Yeah.
And she was like, Song, you're a psychopath. That's going to take like a year to build out. And I'm like, no, we're going to do it in 3 months. And she thought I was insane.
Yeah.
Because if you went there and looked at it, like if you see pictures of it, you're like, there's no way. This is crazy.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Yeah, Luis, the guy who built this.
Oh, really?
And it was
Oh,
like
that's awesome.
at the same time. So he was going
That's
back and forth, and I was
crazy.
going over there just to, pay him
Yeah.
or whatever. So,
It was rough.
yeah.
But I can't tell you exactly why that was a good idea. Honestly, I think it was a lot of it stemmed from the problems I was dealing with.
Yeah, it sounds like it wasn't as big of a risk for you because you were already in a poor location, and
Yeah, but the
and
huge...
and it's a cool place. Like
Yeah.
anyone who's been there knows it has potential, but it was rough.
But it was a lot of people being like, no one's going to be able to find it. It was
Right.
really hidden. It's like off the beaten path. There's too much work to be done, yada, yada, yada. And I think the two North Stars for me was parking
Yeah.
and coffee. And I was like,
Oh, you wanted to do
I'm not able to
coffee.
do coffee where I'm at now.
Yeah.
And it was like a big hole missing.
Right.
And I'm like, that's going to grow.
So when you launched, when you opened, I guess like what did business look like at the beginning? I know it obviously got busy at some point. I'm just wondering like what that ramp period looked like.
It was definitely slow. There's a lot of work to be done still. And I ran that shop by myself. at one point, believe it or not, the front and back.
Wow.
Every day.
So they're at like 4 a.m. baking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. While still trying to like build out and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of stuff still going into it. It was, I think the original pictures of us first opening was still very bare bones. I would come in, bake in the morning, and I had a few people who still worked there, but not more than usual. So there were days that I was the only person there. And I would come in at 4:30, bake, open at 7, open the front, and then kind of like go back and forth. But at the time it was really manageable. And then on the weekends I'd like work in the back and then someone would work in the front, or I would work in the front, someone would work in the back, and cook. And it was like super manageable. Which today sounds crazy. Like people are like, I can't believe you ran this stuff by yourself. But I did for like 6 months. I worked 4:30 to 3:30 every single day,
wow.
like 7 days a week, because I didn't know what else to do. I was like, that was the only way to do it. And we made like, I don't know, like 8 to 16 bagels a day. I'd make like a dozen muffins a day. It was like a different world completely.
Yeah. And how does that compare to what you're doing now?
Well, it's like night and day. It's really weird. It's really weird because I never like thought that would happen and never expected it to. And there was a day, I remember, it was me and McKenna working. And she was working in the front. And someone was working in the back, I think. I can't remember. And at the time, we also like still wrote sticky notes for all our orders. And there's a time where we sold out of our pastries at like 10 a.m. And there were sticky note orders from one end of the bar to the other. And there's a line out the door. And I was like, I don't understand. I was like, do I laugh or do I cry? I don't really know what to do. And someone's like, I came from Kailua. And I was like, why? I don't understand. Like, why? And I didn't realize that someone had posted a TikTok video. And she's like big. She's got like 100,000 followers. On Island influencer, but I also don't have TikTok, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
And one day all these people just showed up and I was like, I don't know what's happening. And so I had to staff up really fast, hired a bunch of people, tried to train them as fast as I could. And it was hard because then people would be coming in, we'd be sold out, like I couldn't keep up.
So was it all just like it kind of started from that one influencer? Because I actually remember it. I remember it being really slow, and then all of a sudden it just seemed like it exploded, and it was like from people not on the North Shore. It was just like people were coming from everywhere. Yeah. And
it was hard because I think it started from that, and then a lot of people also started posting Instagram videos and stuff like that of them also coming in. And then it was just like a domino effect, which I'm super grateful for. However, I wasn't prepared.
Right.
I didn't have the staff. I wasn't ready to do that. And it went from 0 to 100. So there was no like kind of easing into it, which kind of set it up for people reviewing being like, there's long wait times. There's not like they were sold out, didn't have this, didn't have that. And I was like, but I wasn't prepared for it. I was like, I didn't know how to deal with it at the time.
Yeah.
So it was a really quick transition growth period, and yeah, that's kind of how it really took off.
Interesting.
And we just had to learn really quickly.
Yeah. So I guess fast forward to today, like how many customers are you seeing? Like, is all the business just in the shop? Because I know I see your baked goods in other places too. So what's the extent of the business?
It's hard to say. On our Saturdays are our busiest days, so I'd say we probably do about 200 orders a day. We probably make about 300 coffees and matchas.
Wow.
And we'll do about 100 breakfast orders, sandwiches on a Saturday, which out of that, our kitchen's very tiny.
Yeah.
We also do wholesale. So we wholesale to Bizia, Sailors, the Ina Farm stand, and soon, sort of now, but soon to the new boba shop, Aloha Boba, that's opening up.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
And then there's another shop we'll be wholesaling to in Wahiwa. There's a new empanada shop opening up and growing. So trying to keeping up with that. But it's really cool to like be able to offer stuff elsewhere.
Yeah.
And then it's cool when people come back and they're like, I didn't know this is where it came from.
Right. And all of that's
Yeah.
coming out of that kitchen,
Yes.
which is
Yep.
very small.
Which is really small. Yeah. Yeah. But we make it work. It's busting at the seams for sure.
Yeah. So curious, like any plans, I guess, like what are you currently working on? Any projects?
Our new project at the moment is we're actually building out a new kitchen next door in the silo next to us. And we are bringing sourdough bread to the table.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we'll have
So I don't have to
soon-
make it anymore.
Yeah. Which in our current kitchen was never possible because
Right.
we have no, if anyone knows anything about sourdough, you need lots of refrigeration.
Yeah.
So we just did not have space for it. Now we have space for it. I'm bringing in Tristan, who works for us, is a super talented baker. So he's leading this project. And we'll be doing sourdough bread, sourdough like focaccia. We've been testing new things, seeing what works, seeing what people like. We've been doing English muffins and kind of expand in that sense. So that'll turn into wholesale. And we'll have it available in the shop all the time. If you come in on some days, currently, there's limited options for it, or you have a few loaves all the time to sell out.
So this is like another back silo that was empty, or
It's actually where Velzy used to be.
oh, interesting.
next door to
Oh,
us.
so it's right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it'll be right next door. And then, so currently building that out. After that gets rolling, we're going to introduce croissants
Amazing.
and do puff pastries and stuff. So
Back to your European roots.
yeah, so that's the next project. Super excited about that, amongst lots of other things going on.
Yeah. I normally have a couple questions that I like close it out with.
Yeah.
The first one is just like, do you have any, I guess, what's your like advice that you would give to any aspiring entrepreneurs? It could be a North Shore specific or more general.
I feel like generally my best advice is there's two things. One, you can't wait for it to be perfect to start. You just have to start somewhere. And you don't have to wait for it to be exactly what you imagined. Because if you never start, if you're waiting to start, just do it now. If you can, do it. Because if you're waiting for the perfect lights, the perfect seating, it's just, it'll come.
I'm thinking about myself starting this podcast with just janky microphones and phones.
Yeah, and like start with what you have. Like ask, like don't be afraid to ask people for help, and you know you don't have to. Like it'll come, and something that a lot of my regular customers tell me now is that they actually love having been a part of watching it grow and turning into something new, and like slowly seeing like decorations go up and slowly seeing the seating change, and people want to see it because then they're part of it, you know.
Yeah, the new outdoor seating is awesome, by the way. For anyone who hasn't been there, yeah, great place to work.
Big
hang
game
out.
changer.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of outdoor seating, next week we're gonna start World Cup watch parties.
Oh, epic.
Watch that.
Nice.
All day, every day. Side note. But my other part, I guess the biggest thing for me to stay true to myself and to not lose the love for it. And two, I think it's probably the best advice I have for anything you do, and this is business or like, I think I pulled this from writing books, is don't pursue what other people tell you should. Do what you want. create what you would enjoy yourself. So in terms of writing, write the book that you want to read. Don't write what you think someone else is going to like. And it's the same thing for what I do. Like everything I pursue in this business is stuff that I would also enjoy myself. Like I source the coffee that I would want, or the coffee that I enjoy, not what I think people want. And I bake the things that I like. I bake like very Scandinavian inspired goods. I try things that I think would be interesting. And I created the space where I'd want to work in. So just create an environment that you like and pursue what you want. And other people are also going to enjoy it if you put the energy and love into it. If you're creating something that feels empty, it might come out empty, you know?
Yeah.
Don't follow trends.
Yeah, I like that. My last question, this is a new question. We'll see how it goes. I'm curious, like if you had the ear of like the local government, like the mayor, or there is no mayor of the North Shore, but like,
Yeah.
I guess like, what do you think the local business community needs in terms of support, or like on the alternative side, like removing red tape or restrictions to like basically help your business thrive or other businesses thrive? Like,
Interesting. I feel like this is a fresh question coming out of the floods. Which was a really, I guess coming out of that, my initial reaction is it was a really hard time because I feel like the messages being spread were not super supportive in our realm. And this just comes from me talking to like other business owners who felt kind of abandoned and forgotten, or just kind of set aside, where I feel like a lot of the things that go on around, and I don't know if this directly answers that question.
well, it sounds like you're saying you didn't have any support coming out of.
We didn't, and a few people came by and asked, like, or told us, like, we're working on it, or there were meetings where they said they were working on it. We're trying to get grants or help, you know, financially, and we're obviously in a better, I guess not obviously, but we're in a much better situation than a lot of people. Like, for example, Surf and Salsa lost a lot. But out of that, one, there was never any help. People were just like, you can pull out a loan. And I'm like, I don't want to pull out a loan. Like,
Right.
that doesn't help me. There was a lot, like we were in the hub of traffic where you couldn't get to us, but I still had employees to take care of who like rely on working to like pay their rent, which was still due on the first of the month, or, you know, buy food and all that kind of stuff. And the message during that time was, go to Haleiwa, like stay out of Wailua.
Right.
And we were like, we're still here, like we still need you. Don't think we're necessarily reliant on tourism, though it's what obviously Hawaii like needs it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of people would reach out and be like, are we allowed to come up there? Like, we want to support.
Right.
And a lot of people were being really hostile, and we like wrote letters to some of the reps and stuff like that, and it didn't really, none of it really got responded to.
Like, what do you think like the financial impact was of the flood, and like have you even bounced back yet?
No.
To where you were pre-flood?
I think our business has come back a lot, like definitely in the past few weeks. We've definitely been on the rise. However, I'm still crawling out of that hole, and that's coming from somebody who didn't, like, we physically didn't get flooded. We lost a lot of inventory and we lost a lot of business, but I can't imagine what other people who actually got hit hard are going through. And we're still not back to where we were initially. Yeah, I think a lot of the world's forgotten already.
Yeah, for better or for worse, right?
For better or worse.
Yeah. Well, and you guys were giving out a lot of free product
Which is the least you could do.
during that time,
Yeah.
which is great. I think the community appreciated it, but at the same time, it's also like, where's all like the big companies that like profit off of the North Shore? It's like Turtle Bay wasn't around. Like, where's Dole? Like, where's Foodland? It was like all the local businesses that were like helping out were like local, you know, like not necessarily like the businesses that could afford it, which I thought was like so ridiculous.
I mean, that is the big question. But I mean, at the same time, I think after that, it also made me really grateful for living here because of the way that everyone showed up for each other. And if people like us who have the means to do it don't do it, then who else is going to?
Yeah.
And I still have people who, like regulars who would come in and are like, thank you for doing that. And I think that's all that really matters to us is like, if we could do something, then let's do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just trying to help everybody who come support us every day. And I feel eternally grateful for that. And it's really amazing that people still come and allow us to keep doing what we're doing. And I have an amazing staff who, if you ever come in on any Saturday, they're all singing and doing crazy things. And I feel really lucky that I have attracted those types of people, and then they like working there.
Yeah.
And I think that's really hard to find up here for sure, because the North Shore is so transient. But yeah, it kind of feels unreal. Like now, like talking to you about it, I definitely have some imposter syndrome of like sometimes feel like I don't know what I'm doing, but I never thought I'd be here. But here we are.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for doing this, and I think we're pumped for the next chapter. So
yeah, big things.
thank you.